All right. I am Shalande Wright, and I am here with a couple of my colleagues, and we're going to have a roundtable discussion about some of the issues that we face in our communities and our expectations of our political people that's in place that's supposed to be handling some of this stuff. Um, I feel like we are getting the short end of the stick when it comes to that in funding and in access to a lot of government funded programs and organizations that are set up that are supposed to be helping where we don't see a lot of that help. So I'm going to start with Brother Chauncey, and he's going to come in and he's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself and his story and how he came into the space. So I'm going to give him the floor. How you doing, Chauncey?
Chauncey King. You'll hear me on Two Factor Media Radio. That's 2FM as OG Truth Hurts. I was born. I was a military brat. You know, my father was in the army. He met my mom in Atlanta, and they hooked up, and they made me. I ain't gonna go too long on that part of the story. Most of the time, I grew up in College Park, Georgia. I was an athlete growing up. Played baseball and football. Left high school to play baseball at West Georgia. Got sent home because then when I got sent home, I got introduced. I got introduced to the streets. Yes, I was in the streets. You know, I was out there dibbling and dabbling and playing around a little bit. Long story short, went into the military. Came out the military. Got a great job at the post office. Didn't appreciate it. And I don't mind telling my story to the youth and let people know that you don't do it my way. Didn't appreciate it, lost that job. Then I kind of got into doing bodyguard and security work. I did that for 15 to 20 years. And then I got a call from my ex-wife's brother. He has his own care home for mentally challenged. And I've been doing this work for the better part of 15 years. Now, working in the mental health field, I've seen so much stuff that's just really just disheartening to me. You know, you're taking care of individuals that basically, just to be completely honest with y'all, they're not gonna get better. All we're doing is managing behaviors for the most part, and they medicate these guys to the point to where these guys are almost like zombies, you know. And I do all I can to try to interact with them and try to talk to them out. And I talk to them normally. I don't talk to them like they have them like they have a mental deficiency. I try to talk to them and I try to make them feel normal. But really, man, I feel like the government don't really care about them. Only thing, whenever something's wrong with them, their only solution is to medicate them even more. And the medicine, really, to me, it's really deteriorating. I got one particular individual right now. You know, we may have to send him back into the system because we can't take care of him. You know, he can't control his bowels. He's in the bed. He's in the bed. When he do it, we have to clean it up. He completely lost his balance. He got something going on. He's got a degenerative hip. We're trying to get him to a specialist, and in the last 3 to 5 days, we've talked to like 3 to 5 specialists that won't even take anybody anymore. It's a lot of places now. They're no longer using Medicaid, so they no longer using Medicaid, and that's the only way we can pay for to fix them. How do we fix these people? And you know, I guess that's where our politicians come in at, because again, it's just so disheartening, because when you start taking care of people for so long, y'all, you become connected with them. They become family. You become spiritually connected with them. And I'm gonna tell you the real painful thing is, for the most part, their families just let them go. They won't come see them. Well, the crew I have now, it's a little bit better, but in the past, they won't come see them. We had one guy that passed away, and he was dead almost 6 months before we found his mom. And when we found her and let her know what had happened, you expect the normal, freaked out response. She seemed to be so matter of fact about it, and I was blown away by that. We really as a people got to start caring more about mental health. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of issues out there that we put more energy into that really, to me, does not require energy. And we won't put any energy into our mental health. Our mental health really needs us all. So I ask you people out there, anybody, if you know anybody who is mental health, hey, talk to them, interact with them. Try to make them feel important. Try to make them feel loved. Try to make them feel wanted, because at the end of the day, you just may be that person that may give them more hope, and give them more reason to, in their mind state, to want to, keep living. And we all say this. All of us who got our mental faculties, a lot of us use that phrase, keep living. They don't know how to say that. They don't know how to think that. All they know is everything is repetitive. Everything is robotic. Wake up in the morning, get medicated. You eat. You're so tired of eating medication. Only thing you can do is sleep. You're so lethargic. You don't want to do anything. And then that's then a lot of times they don't know how to communicate. And a lot of times the only way they communicate is by lashing out and going into behavior. So now it's at the point when they go into behavior, you got to do everything possible without harming them, to keep them from harming themselves, their peers, or any one of your staff members. It's an uphill battle. I don't mind fighting it, because I grew up a fighter. So anybody, if you ever run into mental health, please, man, I'm saying please, if you got any time, try to invest some time with it, man. And that's my story.
Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And my heart truly goes out to that community, as well as so many other communities that are facing the same problem. And I did hear you say something that was a little bothersome to me, that the physicians are no longer taking the Medicaid. Now,
I don't get it.
I don't know a lot of people, especially in my community, and I'm not sure about your community, but I'm not sure that I know a lot of people that can afford to go to a psychologist, or to, see a mental health doctor at those, type of fees per hour, or what have you, not even mentioning the medicine that you're going to have to take.
The price is the cost of that is just ridiculous, and they got to have some type of aid. They got to have, because they don't have nothing to fall back on. All of us are hustlers by nature. So if all of us got fired off our job right now, we gonna make it, because we got that hustle gene in us, and we gonna go out there and get it in the mud. I ain't got no problem with using that phrase. I'm telling you, Tweet Black, y'all know what I mean on that. I'm not gonna say too much on that. But these people, they can't do that. They can't do that. They got to get this aid. They got to get something. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. I'm not a politician. Politics, that's a weak point on me. I don't. When they be talking about, are you going to vote? Yes. I go and vote, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm one of those people that I don't really know much about. I don't know what Stacey Abrams stands for. I don't know what Brian Kemp stands for. I know we all laugh at Hurts to Walk. I don't know what his main thing is, or Raphael Warnock, or whoever else in the politics. The reason why I go vote, because it's people that's before us. Our mamas and daddies, our grandmamas and granddads, great uncles, and all that stuff. They bled and died for us to have that right to vote. And if somebody if somebody who chooses not to vote, I don't look down on them. I don't, have an opinion on them, because the key thing is these people went out here and fought for our right to vote. So if somebody got a right to vote and they choose not to vote, they just chose not to exercise their right. And people got to stop having an opinion on them on that front right there. I had to talk to my own mom and dad about that a lot. But they look, they come from that era where they don't understand a lot of stuff that's going on today. But I just, but I don't know who's tasked with it, and I would guess it would be those people, the people who's gonna be getting paid to change laws and make laws and all that. But it's got to start with us. We gotta, all of you voters out there, hey, make your vote count, okay? Hey, if somebody wants your vote, hey, they need to start acting on certain things that's important, okay? And when I say important, what's important, what's obviously important. I don't want to get into all the stuff that they putting, energy into, because it could go, that conversation can go, it can broaden out. But I think we just, at the end of the day, we need to try, because these people cannot help themselves, y'all. They can't, they can't. They need us. They really need us. And hey, each one teach one. Hey, you can help one person. Hey, you've done your part.
Right. Well, I can tell you right now, like the politicians and people in that field, they deal in numbers, and they like to see numbers, and they like to see stories. So if I never hear your story, then you're not in the system, and therefore your need will go overlooked. That's why we encourage people to tell their stories, things that are happening to them that seem like small everyday things to us are really critical issues, all over the world, that's not being paid attention to because of a certain demographic of people. And we need to voice our opinions, not only with voting, but we need to tell our stories and tell, these things, that we don't have access to mental health care. And people keep advocating, you got to take care of your mental health. But if you don't know how to do that, then how are you supposed to handle, when things come up, anxiety and other things, bills come up that you can't pay. You got kids and they're hungry and you can't feed them. All of those things are pressing issues that need to be dealt with right away. And when there's no outlet, then it's a deep cry in a pitiful state for our people. And I'm going to bring Anton in here, because he is in the political field and he is on the ground doing a lot of different things in a lot of different areas when it comes to working with the community, for the community. And I'm going to welcome him, and I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself. And what are your thoughts, Anton, around the mental health issues in your area? And how do you feel that politicians can address the fact that the doctors are no longer accepting, the health care? Or should I say the insurance for the health care?
I'm Anton Park Sr. Right now, I guess on this with the role of a trauma recovery specialist. I'm sorry, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, as a trauma recovery specialist, I do political organizing. I sit on several boards in my state nationally for Fatherhood Initiative, Felony Reentry, political organizing. I've helped pass first-time stand your ground laws and self-defense laws in Ohio. There usually was a disproportionate amount of Black and brown people going to jail when someone tries to break in their house, harm their family members, and they defend themselves. They'll go to jail, but then they had loopholes for non-ethnic people to not go to jail when they defend their property or home. So we've been successful in passing the self-defense law. Speaking of something that the brother said, up until probably the last 15, 20 years, It was very difficult to find out what people's true policies was and what they stood for before you voted for them. The good thing about cell phones and laptops nowadays, you can type in the specific issues that you're concerned about, and the candidate who is a champion of that'll pop up. And if you can't find one, you can create one. So we can speak to that on a later date. But I did want to say everybody can be a master voter nowadays, because you don't have to do real research. You still have to go to libraries, to classes, to City Hall, the newspaper reels, and figure out what this person has did. But now it's just at the tip of your fingers. So you can really research. I'm not Democratic or Republican because of this same thing. I grew up a Democrat because it was inherited. But once I learned that what's good for us switches policymakers, so you have to be what I call myself a purple person, because I'm a felon. Plus, I don't have a Democratic Party. I have a people and a union of people who look like me, think like me, been through things that I've been through. So we are our own party. We just ain't named it yet. But we only vote for people who have the best interests of our community and people who look like us and financially go through what we go through. So in my community specifically, in the mental health arena that we're speaking of, that is a major issue. Trauma recovery centers in Ohio. I am a representative of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, National and Ohio, Lucas County to be exact, in my area. And we having an issue right now. Like, this is a conversation we just had in Columbus at the State House with all the heads from different places in Ohio came together for our retreat, that everybody has great trauma recovery services that follow a model that says what you have to do to provide mental health, community safety, personal safety, housing, mental health treatment, and different things that you would call a trauma recovery center. In my county, in Lucas County, we have our trauma recovery center inside of a hospital called St. Vincent's Hospital. And so a lot of people, that's not a good idea to have your trauma recovery center in a hospital, though you do want hospital and mental health and medical providers to be a part of your trauma recovery model. You don't want to traumatize people who had issues with that hospital to have to go there for their trauma recovery services. So take me, for instance. I was paralyzed in 2010. I had to live in the hospital back and forth for almost 2 years, have surgeries, transplants, plate screws, and all kind of things. And so that experience for me made me, because that was the second time in my life I had to spend 2 years in the hospital. It's traumatic for me to even have to go to my doctor's appointments, but I do that because they're necessary. But to have to go there for my mental health treatment, for my counseling, for everything dealing with the recovery, and it is a trauma for me to be there, it doesn't make sense. There is a sister who comes to every event I throw. I met her because she was going to our trauma recovery center and she was having a mental issue and they wouldn't help her. So they sent the police to remove her, and it ended with the police knocking her right eye out to where she has a glass eye right now. We had a Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice meeting a couple months ago, and her and some other people was there. I have to partner with our Trauma Recovery Center because I am the lead for CSSJ. So we had a meeting here, and those people were there, and the partner from the Trauma Recovery Center was there, and her name is Sandra Newsom. Like I said, I keep it all the way a buck, so you can research the information, and I don't have to talk around anything. She was there in her Lexus BMW truck, whatever it was, with her well manicured feet and toes and $500 shoes, when I spoke up and said, hey, we need better TRC in our community. And then y'all only offering counseling, which is against the model. You guys are putting people out of the counseling. So she said, that's not true. I said, well, one of the grandparents is here of Laura Lucky's kids, who she was murdered last November with one of our other friends. her kids were subpoenaed to go to court for the murder of their mother. One of them had to testify, which she never should have had to do in her life at 12 years old, about the last moments of her mother's life. They kicked them out of the counseling because they didn't show up to the counseling versus going to a court case for the murder of their mother under subpoena. And so I said this also at the meeting, and again, she tried to deny it, but the people were in the room. So for me, my next visit to the Capitol will be reporting these people in this process, because there are models and people who give great mental health service in Ohio and different states. They fall under the TRC model. You are owed those services. And we've changed laws where you couldn't be a felon or say a crime happened and you were committing a crime, or you have a felony record and a crime happens. They would usually say your family could not get victims of a crime money because of your felony, or because your kid was committing a crime and he was murdered, you couldn't access victims of a crime dollars. We've had the legislation changed to now you can still receive that. So with that being said, people are complaining instead of saying, hey, we're being healed by our trauma recovery center at St. Vincent's Hospital. They're actually coming with horror stories, and we need to change that. Mental health affects us all, because even though we all can say we have somebody with maybe schizophrenia, depression, or different things, every human in the United States suffers some type of PTSD or mental health issue. I don't care if you're rich, poor, just the society that we live in. They hit you with shock, awe, media news for this, that they take you on a roller coaster to purposely make you need anxiety medicine, medicine to sleep, medicine for this. I'm worried about COVID. I'm worried about a war. And so everybody has some sort of mental health, even if you're just in love with working too much. That's a mental health disorder. So what the brother said about having people engage their loved ones and their neighbors, we also need to put pressure on these health care establishments, because they tell the doctors and the mental health doctors, speech doctor, everybody what to do. Put pressure on them to make it mandated like they do across seas. Certain healthcare things should be free. The government should take on the charge to take the cost of the mandatory mental health treatments that we should name out as the voters and the citizens, because everything that we should deal with, we should have a voice in. They started having committee meetings and backroom meetings and voting for us. So we have to return back to, as I said, Google it, research who holds your best interest, and then we back them. And if there is nobody, we create them through our children and our young people. We put our dollars together, because annually we spend billions of dollars on bullshit. And if we can have a conversation that is heard nationally by the different sections of people that we trust, and say, hey, let's put dollars and our cents and our knowledge together, we will solve most of these problems we're asking the government to solve, because they never should have been in charge of our mental health and of our spiritual health, of our financial health, and of our regular. So
okay, so I hear what everybody is saying, and I also hear in my community that Black people as a whole are tired of politics. Like, we are overwhelmed with politics, and the fact that none of the politics, it seems, are in our favor or written for us, about us, to benefit us. So it takes away the urge to want to vote, because it feels like voting really doesn't help the situation. And I'm learning that they like to see numbers, they like to see stories, they like to have it in their face, you know. So they
because we are taught to do everything but the process that works. So we're taught to complain, we're taught to write, march, we're taught to even go to the state house and have visuals and this and that. But we're never taught to pick up a pen, have a discussion, write the issue down, take it to them, let them turn that to a bill, take that bill through Capitol Hill and around, like the little song used to say, electric company, get it to the president's office to get signed. And see, this is the thing. I was told my whole life, you can't do this. This is impossible. But in 2017, I helped construct our current farm bill that gives us food stamps with Elizabeth Warren, Ayanna Pressley, and a lot of other great women in our capital. And it passed. And then after then, that gave me momentum. I said, hey, I caught a felony a couple years ago because I was defending myself, my home, and my child. That is wrong. Ohio has never had a self-defense law like a lot of these other racist states that wanted to target Black and brown males. I actually took the same process we used to get the food stamp legislation passed and fighting pharma to shut their opioid drugstore nationally down. We constructed a issue, then a bill, and then the law was passed that you can stand your ground and defend yourself off of my testimony and what we wrote down. So then we'll move forward to felony expungement. My next issue was, y'all said it's a self-defense law, but it doesn't grandfather in on me because I have to keep this felony. So then I did the same thing with felony expungement, and they did an issue, they did a bill, they passed the law. And I'm just a normal everyday. I still live in the low income community. I'm not in the projects, but I'm not in Savannah or Ottawa Hills, which is Tom Cruise has a house not too far from me. But I'm in the community. So with that being said, I've actually changed laws and policies, which I was told as a Black male that I have no voice as a single person. But that is a lie. I did 3 major things for our generation that will last a lifetime. And I'm just you and Chauncey and Eddie and T-Rex. We're all on the same equal plane. So if I'm one person who can do it, what if we all were one people who could do it? And we have to stop thinking singularly, my vote doesn't count. Had I not finally re-registered to vote in 2018, none of this bill writing, none of this proposed legislation would have went through that helps every Black and brown male in my state. Now, if you made a mistake, you could go back and correct that and get your felony expunged. And if the same thing with the other law, if you've made a mistake, you could correct that mistake, which they told you could not defend your home with a weapon or with your hands to where you hurt somebody because you could not defend yourself in Ohio as long as Ohio has been a state. And that's the difference. So I do want to encourage y'all, if nothing else, register to vote. And then what you are worried about and bothered about, research it. And there are people in every state at your state house who will sit down with you and construct legislation that fits what you're asking to see from your legislators. One person's voice can count. I've proved that 3 times over.
Okay.